Neon Genesis Evangelion, the crown jewel of anime, the darling of late-night forum debates, and the source of way too many awkwardly suggestive figurines. Yes, that's right. Today we're talking about the internet's favorite show. I'm Angie, and welcome to Depth Diaries, where we dissect pop culture and the depths of our modern psyche. Today, we're peeling back the layers of Hideki Anno's magnum opus to reveal its hidden role as a modern eschatology, a philosophical and spiritual examination of the end times and the catastrophic era of this new millennium. But first, a confession. I wasn't always a fan. Before the summer lockdowns of 2022, the world of Evangelion was for me a bizarre landscape, populated by overzealous fans and semi-pornographic merch. It took a global pandemic for me to finally binge the series, and lo and behold, I found something profound beneath the layers of teenage angst and existential dread. So why does the internet need yet another Evangelion deep dive? Well, because, dear viewers, you haven't heard my take yet. We're gonna dive into how Evangelion isn't just a story about monsters and robots. It's actually a modern eschatology that deeply mirrors our current times. For those of you who need a quick refresher, Neon Genesis Evangelion is set in a post-apocalyptic Tokyo where cataclysmic events known as the impacts have decimated most of humanity. Our protagonists, part of a shadowy organization, NERV, are tasked with fending off mysterious beings called angels. Now, these aren't your average Sunday school cherubs. They're more like cosmic juggernauts, sent to complete humanity's existential ascension or collapse. But here's the kicker. NERV is trying to control the apocalypse using a supercomputer named after the Magi, the three wise men of the Nativity in the Bible. Using this Magi system, they aim to predict and manipulate these cosmic events. The Magi were ancient alchemists and sages who, according to Christian tradition, predicted the coming of Christ. In Evangelion, these predictive capabilities that are associated with the Magi and their tracking of the movements of the firmament are digitized and reduced to cold, hard algorithms. In traditional eschatology, we ponder death, judgment, and the ultimate destiny of humanity. Evangelion brings this age-old theological concern into the realm of science fiction, replacing divine prophecy with technological foresight. NERV and their shadowy overlord Seal view themselves as modern Magi, tracking the movements within the heavens to tease out information about the turning of the epoch and the events that follow. But unlike their biblical counterparts, they are techno-freaks, playing God, wielding technology to force an apocalyptic ascension. This is the catastrophic incident of human instrumentality that we witness in the end of Evangelion, the merging of all human souls into an undifferentiated mass. The end of all individuality as we know it is seen by Seal and the heads of NERV as the ultimate culmination of the eschaton, the ideal of human ascension made manifest. Which brings us to the elephant in the room, or rather the Gendo Ikari Elon Musk comparisons that are quite common in internet memes these days. Both are titans of technological accelerationism, using their intellect and resources to shape humanity's future from behind the shadows. Musk dreams of Martian colonies and an ascent in the human condition through merging with technology. He has also been an integral figure in the acceleration of AI, and also believes that through his purchasing of the platform X, formerly known as Twitter, he has access to humanity's collective consciousness, and is using the data gathered on the platform to train his own AI predictive system. Gendo plots human instrumentality, merging all souls into a collective consciousness via manipulation of Adam, Lilith, and the Sea of LCL. He abuses the anima mundi, embodied by Rei Ayanami, through cloning her again and again and again, all in a morbid attempt to be reunited with his dead wife. Is Evangelion a warning about technological accelerationism? Absolutely. Just as Seal's plan to remedy loneliness and fragmentation results in the catastrophic Human Instrumentality Project, a plot to use the catalyst of the impacts and the angels to merge the souls of humanity. Our own world's techno-prophets promise us utopias that may well lead to dystopias. The allure of solving spiritual and existential dilemmas through technology is mirrored in the series. Gendo's unethical cloning of Rei, a desperate attempt to cheat death and reunite with his deceased wife, is a grim reflection of our own attempts to transcend things like mortality, pain, and suffering purely through material means while ignoring ethical and spiritual dilemmas. Here's a real-world example. Consider Replica AI, a platform designed by a grieving woman to recreate the impression of a lost friend. While noble and sympathetic on the surface, this impulse conceals a deeper, darker issue. Replica AI fosters false parasocial connections, encouraging users to form attachments to algorithms masquerading as human. This seemingly innocent endeavor spiraled into a culture of exploitation and addiction. During the pandemic, the outcry against Replica's exploitative practices was so severe that countries like France had to legislate against its use to exploit children. And then there are wealthy tech moguls like the infamous Brian Johnson and Peter Thiel, who employ bizarre methods to slow the aging process, promoting the idea that humans can extend their lifespan or look younger through technological means. These modern-day tech wizards sell us utopian remedies to the human condition, promising quick technological fixes to spiritual and existential problems without the hard work of spiritual evolution. This parallels Seal and Nerve's approach in Evangelion. They unleash forces into the world that humanity is not spiritually or morally developed enough to handle, resulting in havoc and catastrophe. Nerve and Seal's desire to solve existential and spiritual problems through technological accelerationism mirrors the black magic of old, an attempt to gain spiritual power without the hard work of spiritual development, essentially cheating the system. This is the dark side of progress, where a quest for quick fixes and shortcuts leads to unintended and often disastrous consequences. Just like Seal and Nerve's misguided attempts to control and harness cosmic forces in Evangelion, our own techno-overlords risk unleashing forces they cannot comprehend or control. The result is a dystopian reality where the promises of technology turn into nightmares, mirroring the catastrophic outcomes we see in the series. Evangelion serves as a potent cautionary tale about the perils of seeking spiritual transcendence through technological or materialistic means. A warning that resonates powerfully in our age of rapid acceleration. Now let's contrast this with Shinji's journey. While Nerve and Seal pursue ascension through mechanistic means, Shinji achieves it spiritually by facing his inner demons and reconciling with his shadow. His loving and close relationship with the humanized angel Kaworu and his eventual acceptance of Rei as the anima mundi, or world soul, reflect a profound and internal transformation. Shinji's true ascension comes from within, not through the catastrophic merger of souls through human instrumentality. Rudolf Steiner, an Austrian philosopher and esotericist, founded Anthroposophy, a spiritual movement that merges science, art, and spirituality. His work delves into the evolution of human consciousness and the interplay between spiritual and technological advancements. Steiner's cosmology, deeply rooted in ancient wisdom and spiritual science, explores the hierarchies of spiritual beings and their impact on human development. His ideas on spiritual evolution and devolution resonate profoundly with the themes of technology and existential challenges in our era, and also in the eschatology that is showcased in Evangelion. Rudolf Steiner's cosmology described angels as psychological and spiritual impulses that guide human evolution, particularly at the turning of epochs. He believed that these angelic forces endowed humanity with vital faculties during our history, like the organ of mind. At each epochal shift, new impulses emanate from the spiritual realm, urging humanity to evolve or devolve. I find it very interesting that in Evangelion, Seal and Nerve perceive these angelic forces as threats and build Ava units to fight them, instead of trying to understand why they've arrived. The mechanistic and materialistic paradigm of those at Seal and Nerve, the same impulse that pushed them to build the Magi supercomputer, blinds them to the deeper spiritual significance of the beings that they are faced with. Instead of collaborating with these evolutionary impulses, they seek to control and weaponize them. Shinji, however, learns to work with these forces, exemplified in his connection with Kaworu and his reconciliation with Rei, achieving personal and spiritual wholeness. Okay, so before the Evangelion fans get angry with me, I'm not trying to say that Hideki Anno was necessarily inspired by anthroposophical teachings in his creation of the Ava universe, but the parallels between Steiner's cosmology and the work of Anno are kind of too stark to ignore. Much of Steiner's work also focused on eschatology, in the same vein as Anno's Evangelion, and both pull concepts from preceding eschatological traditions, like Kabbalistic thought or the Christian Gospels, in order to create an eschatological map for our current age. Let's pivot to Carl Jung's Red Book, another eschatological text that was actually held back from public view until 2009, specifically because Jung wanted it to be a book for this coming age. Jung's visionary work was an exploration of the psyche for our time of profound personal and collective upheaval, revealing the themes of the Age of Aquarius, our current period of transformation and new consciousness. The Red Book, or Liber Novus in Latin, literally translates to the New Book, just as Neon Genesis Evangelion translates to New Beginning of the Gospel. It seems that Hideki Anno, like Carl Jung and Rudolf Steiner before him, were channels of the same current, merging the esoteric and psychological into a narrative that speaks to our current times and the existential challenges and paths that we are facing. Modern Magi's doing modern eschatology. The famous British occultist Aleister Crowley's Book of the Law also grapples with the turning of epochs, albeit through a darker occult lens. Crowley's work, though controversial, sought to be a herald of a new age, much like Anno's Evangelion. Both texts explore the implications of new spiritual realities emerging in our era. Hideki Anno, like Jung, Steiner, and Crowley, taps into these esoteric undercurrents. Evangelion is more than just an anime. It's an eschatological narrative. It integrates ancient wisdom with modern existential dread. It's a new gospel for a new age, attempting to guide us through the tumult of technological and spiritual changes. This includes the allure of false ascension through technological means, and the difficulties of integrating spiritual lessons to ascending consciousness rather than taking the easy path, which is technological hubris. Evangelion's narrative also echoes the myth of Atlantis, a technologically advanced but spiritually degenerate civilization that brought about its downfall through hubris. This myth, much like Evangelion, serves as a cautionary tale against the hubris of technological overreach. Atlantis is yet another eschatological mythology that has haunted humanity throughout the ages, much like the prophecy that haunted Oedipus until it was eventually fulfilled. Our collective psyche has conjured the myth of Atlantis as a warning of a complex that is loose in our collective psyche, one that has the potential to become a self-fulfilling prophecy if not held up to the light of consciousness. In the world of today, tech moguls like Peter Thiel and prophets of accelerationism like Noah Yuval Harari and Musk preach a new gospel of technological salvation. They envision a future where technology fulfills the promises of religion, eternal life, omniscience, and ultimate unity. But a masterpiece like Evangelion warns us that such pursuits, divorced from spiritual wisdom, lead to disaster. So in conclusion, Evangelion isn't just a psychological thriller or a mecha anime. It's a modern ura-text, an eschatological scripture for our times. It draws on deep concepts within our collective psyche, blending ancient spiritual wisdom with contemporary fears. Like I said before, the title itself, Neon Genesis Evangelion, translates to New Gospel, hinting at its role as a prophetic work. Modern Magi like Jung, Steiner, and Arno, yes, Hideki Arno, offer us the gifts of insight for navigating our epoch's changes. They stand in contrast to the darker Magi of our era, the technological accelerationists, who, like King Herod's advisors during the epoch of Christ in the age of Pisces, seek to exploit the turning of the aeon for their own gain. So next time you watch Evangelion, remember, it's more than robots and monsters. It's a mirror to our age, a neon signpost on the road to our potential salvation or damnation. Thanks for watching Depth Diaries. I'm Angie, your self-appointed high priestess of the apocalypse. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below with your thoughts on Evangelion as a modern eschatology. See you in the next Esoteric Deep Dive.